Good morning. How are you? It's Ingrid Owens here. Good morning, Facebook. I will have a little bounce in my chair as it seems to be customary I do. And I will give you all a minute to hop on. We are not going live on Facebook this morning. We're just not. I have my phone there, but it's quite apparent on today's topic why we're not doing all of the things, because that's kind of what we're talking about. So I'll give you all a minute to pop on. If you are watching the replay, thank you very much for watching the replay. Remember to use hashtag replay. Hope you can hear me. If you are watching me live, join me in the comments and tell me hello and where you are this morning, and let me know that you can hear me. I'm sporting my green shirt today in honor of St. Patrick's Day, which I don't think I even mentioned last week because it was on Sunday. It kind of slipped on by, but for those of you who know me, I am from Ireland originally, and we'll be heading back there soon. So good morning, Linda. Thank you for joining me live. Yes, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So, sort of. I wanted to say good morning and thank you for watching me live. Thank you for watching the replay. If we haven't met before, my name is Ingrid Owens. I am a business coach and marketing strategist for creative entrepreneurs and small business owners, people that want to get their business online, who think about things a little creatively but have a struggle in maintaining consistency with their visibility and growing their business, all of those sorts of things. So I work a lot with photographers, designers, web designers, copywriters, all those sorts of creative people. So today our topic is, as we like to have a topic to talk about, and today is all about something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I do think that this is something that's really particular to, well, it's not really particular to everybody, but I think that creative people do suffer with this a little bit more than the regular entrepreneur. And you can go ahead and let me in the comments if this is something that you've had a problem with, which is, sometimes just not knowing where to start or not knowing what to do. And we use the hashtag quite often, all the things, and that can refer to all of the things all of the time, not knowing where to begin, not knowing where to start, not knowing what thing that you should be working on. And so we end up spinning our wheels and not actually doing anything, right? So this can apply to all sorts of things in your business, but today we're really talking about it in terms of marketing and visibility, because we have to have that consistent visibility regardless of whether we're trying to be we feel that our face is important in the brand, or we feel that our presence is important in our business or our brand. Visibility is always very important, and we need consistent visibility. But sometimes we are like, well, I don't even know. Should I be on Facebook? Should I be on Instagram? Should I be on, LinkedIn? Where should I be putting my time? Do I need to be doing a little bit of everything? Do I need to be everywhere? Right? How am I supposed to be promoting my products? Am I supposed to be talking to people? Am I supposed to be posting? Where do I start? What do I do? And so this really leads us into this symptom of our problem, which is overwhelm. And if you've ever been overwhelmed, I don't need to tell you that the easiest thing to do when you're overwhelmed is sit back and do nothing. And not even sit back, but sometimes we feel like we're doing things, but we're not actually doing anything because we're overwhelmed. So I wanted to tell you a little story today about how this has presented itself in my life recently. It's so funny because I feel like quite often I have a content calendar over there, and I have all of my topics for the weeks planned out, everything that I'm going to talk about. I don't know whether I'm making this happen or whether this is just, God's way of reminding me that this is what your people need to hear. This is what you need. Yes, Linda says it's hard to know when you're getting the most for your time. We'll talk about that today. But I have had a very overwhelming last week. And actually, my life is pretty overwhelming right now. And the real reason behind that overwhelm is we are moving back to Ireland. We are relocating back home to be closer to my family over there. We've been living here in Atlanta for 13 years. I have. My husband is originally from here, so it's home for him here, and so we're uprooting and replanting ourselves back home in Ireland, which is extremely exciting. And we are, there's just so much going on, right? And it's very overwhelming. And this is one of the reasons why people don't do these things very often, because there is a lot to do. It is a huge, massive project. And when you look at everything, that's why people don't do it, right? Because people were like, wow, God, wow, I'd love to do that. I'd love to move my family to another country, but it's like, that's so much, right? And I'm like, yes, it's a lot. And that's on top of doing your normal business anyway, doing your normal life anyway, right, with your children, and trying to keep things going. So it can get very overwhelming. But this week in particular was even more overwhelming, because we're getting ready for this big children's consignment sale here. And of course, because we are moving, there's a lot of stuff that I have to deal with that we don't want to take. We've got a lot of children's games and toys and clothes that, we donated a good bunch of it, but a lot of it is good stuff that we can just sell. And so this is a fundraiser for our church, for our preschool, and it's called Kindermart. And if you're in the Atlanta area, go check it out, because there's a lot of really good stuff. But we consign our stuff there, so it has to be prepped and tagged and all sorted out, right? And then we've got a bunch of stuff that we're going to donate as well. And then we've got the stuff that we're trying to take with us. But with all of that, that comes on top of meeting with financial people, meeting with lawyers, meeting with all of the stuff, the paperwork that has to be done, and taking yourself out of this country and all of the things that requires, and putting yourself into a new country and all of the things that requires. So it's a lot, right? It's a lot. And so my biggest thing, is sometimes I can sit there and go, ah! And this week in particular, I just felt like going, I don't want to get up and I don't want to get out of bed. So this, I know, can happen in your business often, especially when you've been in business for, just a couple of months or even a year or so. And you the more you know, the more you feel like you have to do, right? And the more things that become into your awareness. This is what happens sometimes with me. I'm on a lot of these Facebook groups, and there's expat groups of moving back, and then it's like, oh, you're looking at other people's questions and answers, and you're like, is that something I need to be thinking about? Do I need to be thinking about tax when I'm an expat and I'm a repat? I don't even know what I am, right? So there's a lot of stuff. So these things become into your awareness, and so it is in business, right? The more you know in business, the more you know, and the more complicated it can get. And I often say this to my coach, that sometimes I would feel like I'm better off if I didn't know anything. And I always admire these people who are really gung-ho, and they jump right in, and they know, oh, I'm going to master Instagram, and that's my thing, and and they go for it, right? And they get really good at it because they don't know of all the other ways that they could do it. Being a strategist, being a marketer, I'm aware of all of the other stuff. Also, I've been in business for 11 years, so I know of all the online stuff that is available to me. So sometimes that can be freezing, right? So if you have had this issue where you're not sure what to do, and as Linda says, to get the best bang for your buck, right, to where you should be spending your time, I wanted to give you a couple of wee tips on that, and I wanted to give you a tool for that as well that I think will be very useful. The first thing, though, I really want to say, if you are finding yourself that you're spinning your wheels and you are getting in this place of overwhelm, it's to stop consuming, right? Especially in a digital space, right? we can be subscribed to all the email lists, we can be watching all the webinars, we can be following all the gurus or whatever, right? You can be trying to consume all the time, taking in more advice. It's kind of like with our situation here too, right? Everybody has an opinion about what we should be doing and how we should be moving and all of that, right? And this is not a decision that we made lightly here. We've been discussing it. In fact, it was always our plan to move back home. And we planned to be here for 5 years, and now we're here 13, right? So it's really about, though, keeping your blinders on and staying focused on what you know is right for you and stopping the outside external stuff. Bar a few trusted resources. Here goes my nose running again because it's a Facebook Live. And now the allergies are starting here. So I won't miss those when I go home. It's really about knowing what you want to do, right? And so as a strategist, I'm always thinking about what is the goal? What is the outcome that we want to achieve from that? Well, sometimes with overwhelm, it's just like peace, right? I just want to know that I'm, that I just want to know that I'm doing the right thing. And so for that to happen, sometimes we have to exclude all of the outside stuff and just focus inward, right? Focus on what we know, what we can do, what we can achieve to move us forward, right? So that's the first thing, to stop consuming. The second thing is to plan and to schedule it out, right? So this is kind of number 2 and number 3. Now, this kind of goes back, well, you can't plan if you don't know what you're talking about, right? So let's go back and figure out, how do we know what to do first? And how do we know what to work on at all? Linda says she's pulled back to following and owner groups. Yeah, that's really good, Linda, because there's a lot of noise out there. And one of the things that we have to be able to do in our business as a creative business owner is to be able to stand out in that noise. And, it's hard to kind of shout louder, right? So first of all, step away from the noise. It can give you some kind of, okay, how am I going to approach this if I want to be active in that group as a marketing thing? But yes, you can think about that from the outside, but also just trying to think about what is the value you're getting from being in that group at all. If it isn't adding to your life, then take it out. Like, I have really a lot of emails that I'm subscribed to just because I like to know and kind of pick apart people's strategy in their email and see how they're doing it. It doesn't serve me, though, to be in there on a day-to-day basis, on a work day. So I have, and this is kind of another tip for you, or anybody, that when you're working in the day, like, I don't look at those things only on a certain part of the day. Like, I try not to look at them even until, like, I know my children are here, because I can't even give them my full focus, right? So the time in the morning is a very focused time for me, and that's kind of part of my tips are all running into each other here, but that's that's really kind of tip 3, like really having that strategic time for you to work on. But anyway, let's back up and figuring out what you're going to work on. Now my dog feels like he needs to get up and join me over here. He's just going to have to wait for a wee minute. So this, I don't know if you can, does it show up backwards? No, I think it shows up right. So here I have just my little whiteboard, right? I've got like 6 whiteboards in this house, and right now they're all been covered up with like to-do lists and stuff, but this is a good thing to know how you're spending your time. Now, Eisenhower came up with this first. President Eisenhower, right? So I'm gonna see it. Let me tilt this, right? Okay, so this little group, I need to get this on a little stand so that I can do this first. So let's do it. Maybe move my camera like that. Yeah. Okay, so when you're trying to figure out what you need to do first, right? This is how I have plotted this, and there's a couple of different ways you can do this, right? So we have, it's a graph, right? So we have the x-axis going across from things that are not important to things that are important. Now, I've also done this with not impactful and impactful, right? So when I'm thinking about what to do in my business, so there's kind of like 2 ways you can use it: what to do in my business and what to do first, right? So it depends on what you're doing. So it could be important or not important. And then urgent and not urgent is what it says down at the bottom, or did say before I rubbed it out. So not urgent, right? Okay. So when you're trying to figure out what to do first, we can use this scale, right? If it was trying to figure out what to do, you could measure it in terms of important or impact or money, whatever your x-axis is, and you could do it on like a scale of easy and difficult, right? Because it's always easier to start with the easy things first, right? So you could use that either. So let's just focus on one though for now. Let's focus on the urgent, not urgent. So for me, I have 3 items here that I have to do. Now, I like to do these things on sticky notes because I'm very flexible and I like to move things around, right? And you know, that's kind of how I run with things. So I have one here is to plan content, or sorry, to create my content, right? So I use content to like this is a piece of content, YouTube videos are a piece of content, Facebook posts are a piece of content, all of that sort of stuff, right? I have to organize some past content that I've made, right? Now these are 3 of like probably 20 sticky notes that I have over there, but I'm not going to show you them all. We don't have time. And then I'm going to plan a challenge, right? So we're going to be doing a visibility challenge here soon, and I need to plan that. I need to schedule out the emails. I need to plan the content for that. So that's a bigger project, right? Now, when I think of how do I know what to work on first, right? Which one of these things am I going to work on first? Well, I could create the content. So I look at it. Is it urgent or is it not urgent? Is it important? Where does it lie? So is it important, not important? It's really important, right? It's really important. So where does it fit on the urgent, not urgent scale? Well, it's not super urgent, but it is important. So I'm going to put it down here in this kind of area over here, right? Now, the other thing that I have here is organize my Facebook Live content, right? So this is content that I've already done, and I need to organize it, right? Well, it's really not important. I mean, it would make me feel good, but it's not really important. Is it going to move my business forward? No, it's really not. It's not at all. Like, you don't know if my content is organized behind the scenes. It's not, right? So that's why I have to organize it. Is it urgent or is it not urgent? Oh, it's not urgent or it's not important. So it's going to live over here in this quadrant right over here, right? And then the last thing here is plan the visibility challenge. Well, it's a bigger project, right? And it's really important that I get this done soon, because I'm up on a deadline with this, because I've already now told you about it and I've told other people about it. So this is going to happen soon. So it's pretty urgent, right? And it's important, right? So I'm going to put it up here, right? So now when I'm looking at what do I need to work on first, right? These things over here are the things that I need to work over here. So if things are urgent and not important that live here, if they're urgent and not important, and they would live in this quadrant over here, these are things that are probably like putting out fires, right? Customer wants, you know, attention, just kind of talking, you know, I don't know what they want attention for, right? Like Facebook tasks, like Facebook, checking Facebooks. It's not urgent or it's not important. Probably shouldn't be on here, right? Linda says she likes this tool. Yes, it's a good one, right? So anything that you can fit can kind of fit in here, right? Anything you can think about. So something like maybe posting on Facebook, right? Or posting on Etsy, right? Not Etsy, Insta. For your Etsy posts, right? Posting on Insta. Well, it is important. It's moving your thing forward, right? And urgent, well, you have to have it done. So that might sit up here. Planning might come down here. Better to do it sometimes. Now, these are important, what they call CEO tasks. So these are things that really only you can be doing. Things down here, if they're not urgent or important, it would be great to be able to outsource them, you know, if you have a VA or an assistant. Things down here have to be done. So these are things that we can plan for, right? So the key with these sorts of things is that we can put it in our calendar, right? So content creation is something that should be put in your calendar. So the fact that I know that I've got this content that I have to create, I should put that in my calendar and honor it to myself. And that is the other thing, right? So that's so key when we're doing any of this kind of to get rid of that overwhelm. Your calendar is so important. I think I've talked about this many times before. Like, I live and die by my calendar. If there's a a client call on there, it's going to happen. So I make sure that I also honor that calendar for my own self. So I have what I was talking about earlier is that sacred time that I use in the morning, and that comes from oh, I can't remember the girl's name. Stone. I can't remember her first name. Anyway, Julie Stone. So she talks about this sacred time. Amy Porterfield talks about tiger time, right? So it's the same concept, right? It's having this uninterrupted time where we're creating whatever it is that we're doing, right? So if it could be, for me, it's creating marketing stuff, it's creating materials, it's creating tools, it's creating content, right? Or it could be, if my focus for that week is on sales, it could be on making calls or having those conversations or that direct outreach, right? Whatever is those really important things that have to get done, that are important and urgent. Oh, my computer just froze. I hope you did. I didn't lose you. That are both important and urgent, right? They've got to get done, right? So those things are I put them in a quiet time, first thing in the morning. I'm a morning person. That gets done. They're non-negotiables. I honor that time to myself. So a couple of things there that we talked about, right? So trying to get rid of the overwhelm. Block out the people that are the input, right? That's number one. Figure out what it is that you should be working on. And if you need help with that, we have that tool, that Eisenhower tool. I think it's called the Eisenhower graph or grid of what's urgent. And like I said, if you were trying to figure out what to do at all, that's another way that we can use the same grid and replace an urgent with easy and difficult, right? Right? And we use that a lot too with clients. Like, what am I going to do? So how do I know? Am I going to use LinkedIn or am I going to use Instagram? Well, are you already on Instagram? Is it easy for you? Like, that's the one that you can go for first. It's going to have a big impact, right? So having those things can sometimes really help you make those decisions, those tools to make you help you make the decisions so that you're not like all over the place. And honestly, even somebody like me who is very strategic, when I think about it in my head, it doesn't always translate. When I get it out of my head onto sticky notes and onto paper like that, oh, it becomes much, much easier, right? And these are the ways that I work with my clients, and we do that together. We co-create a strategy around tools like this and lots of other tools to get you to your goals where you want to go with your creative business. And so if you haven't, and if we haven't already spoken already about my programs, or even just to get on a visibility strategy call where we can talk about where the gaps are in your visibility right now, we can do something like this for you to see where you should be focused on and where you are currently, and if it's aligned and all of that stuff. We can get a lot of that covered in a one-to-one assessment. That's a 30-minute free 30-minute free session, and I will put up the link here because now I'm really fast at it. Right now I know how to do it that way. It's over there. IngridKellyOwens.com/strategy. I would like to invite you to come on with a call for me. I would love to speak to you and see how possibly we can get your visibility game raised, which of course visibility is the raw material, if you were. It is that the lifeblood of any kind of marketing, especially when you're online, because it's not going to sell your stuff. It's not going to sell itself. You've got to have that visibility piece. All right. So I am so glad I wasn't so overwhelmed that I couldn't get on here to the call today. Thank you very much for joining me live, and thank you for watching the replay. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have any questions or any specific things that you want my opinion on, I'm happy to answer them in the comments. And also, if you have anything that you would like me to talk about in the future, happy to do that too. And watch out for some information about that visibility challenge. It's up there now. I have to get it done. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Have an awesome week, and I will see you really soon.